What's up, everybody? Welcome to the View from Jamestown podcast edition. This is the April View from Jamestown edition. We got Rob Roach, AJ Pacharka, and first-time guest Javier Fernandez, our Latin American operations manager, sitting down with us this morning. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. We're looking forward to getting into it. Javi, maybe you want to start, give a little intro on yourself, your background, and what you do with TCC.
Yeah, my name is Javier Fernandez. I handle Latin American markets for the chemical company. I'm originally from Peru, and I've been with the company almost 8 years. So I've been just got back from the AFPM, and I've been people have been asking me about a Spanish podcast that will be coming up in the next few episodes.
Sometime soon. Yeah, I think that'll be a good addition to the podcast stream for anyone listening that wants it in dedicated Spanish format, so it'll be good. Jumping right into it, maybe we'll start with Javi, keep the trend going here. What's going on in the industry, maybe the last couple weeks, or I guess the first quarter's coming in and end now, so what are you seeing in what you're working on?
Yeah, overall, the region, it's really good. Brazil, Argentina, and Ecuador are coming out of the recession, and so that's driving up economic demand and a lot of chemicals to be shipped down there. Regarding Mexico, it's driving up by the U.S. growth and U.S. demand, so that overall the region's looking good for 2018, and hopefully we get that rolling in 2019.
Yeah, I know. As far as Latin America, Javi's been doing a great job down there. Spreading the TCC products throughout the region. Just getting back from AFPM, there was a lot of discussion about a lot of the things we've been talking about already for over a year. China, specifically their environmental policy and logistics. I mean, we've been reporting on it. Nice pat on our own back, for quite some time, but it seems like it's hit the fan now, and it seems to be at the forefront of discussions. And I think the overall other trend maybe I brought back from AFPM was a little bit of a take it or leave it attitude from the producers, the intermediate producers. Demand is good with China off, less supply. So supply is definitely the driver in the market today. It's not really the buyers aren't in the best position like they were the prior year and the year before that in Dallas. So that was pretty much what I saw out of the most recent couple weeks.
AJ, any on your end?
Just to kind of, again, touch on China, coming out of the AFPM, one of the things that I noticed when meeting with different trading companies who had a heavy presence in China in previous years, they'd go down their product list and now say, we're not competitive on this because of China or this because of China, which took out 80% of their available products, So, they were kind of, didn't have much to sell. They kind of just said they're not competitive anymore. And, so China's a big driver for companies that are we're heavily invested in that part of the world.
Yeah, one of the quotes that I really appreciated was somebody had said, it's not anymore about capacities in China, it's about running capacity. So that pretty much breaks it down. I mean, there's tremendous overcapacity in China in most of the goods we're talking here about, but really 40% are running right now, maybe, if they're lucky. And they're talking about more future capacities and expansion. I mean, this is the big problem that we're faced with is there going to be additional investment in these mega plants that are still running around the world? And what are the effects if one of those mega plants goes down in the next year or two? So I think that people should be buying ahead of this trend, raising inventories, not waiting for prices to fall. I think that's a dangerous combination.
Yeah, one thing I think everyone's mentioned so far is obviously the AFPM. We're all just getting back from it. Javi spent a little more time down in Texas, but most of us were back last week. I think it was a successful AFPM from talking to Rob and AJ and most of the team. We had a successful second annual cocktail party on Sunday. We saw over 300 attendees, which was awesome. So we had a good turnout, definitely more from the first year we did it. And I think it's a safe bet that we'll have our third annual planning ahead. March 24th, 2019, also again in San Antonio. I think there was a little bit of confusion maybe where the AFPM was next year or where people are planning on going, but as far as we know, it is San Antonio again next year, and we're definitely planning on having our third annual party. Is that a safe thing to say, Rob?
Absolutely. You know, a couple people mentioned maybe NOLA next year. I don't know where that came from, but, you know, we're looking at going back to San Antonio, March of 2019, and we'll see you at the party.
Yeah, and thank you for everyone that came, that's listening. I think we had a great turnout, some good familiar faces as well as some new faces, which is always exciting. Jumping right into news and articles, stuff going on around the industry. One of the biggest things that came out in March was the ruling for DINP in Europe with the non-toxicity ruling. Rob or AJ, maybe one of you guys want to talk a little bit more about that, where that came from and why that's significant?
It's massive. I mean, this is, you know, it's just, it's huge that it's now considered by ECHA no tox. This was quite a concern, you know, for all DINP or phthalate plasticizer ester producers. You know, DINP is still one of the largest commonly used plasticizers. There isn't enough capacity of alternate or non-orthophthalate plasticizers to fill that gap. You know, today DOP remains the largest plasticizer worldwide. DINP comes in right behind it. You know, DOP probably because the massive availability of 2EH is probably why it's the most popular. It's a branched general purpose phthalate plasticizer. And it works well in most applications. But of course, there's a stigma along with DOP and its toxicity. But DINP was being challenged by the Danes. And ECHA, you know, took a look at it and found it to be non-tox. The thing that's interesting about even the DINP that we carry, the Evonik DINP, it's made with dimersol processed INA, and this is a much more linear isononyl alcohol, which hence goes into the ester, makes a much more linear ester. From the chemical company's position, we believe this is probably the best general purpose plasticizer because it stays in the polymer very well under all high temp, low temp conditions, especially low temp. Weathering is okay with it. Very good, actually. So, you know, we find this to be a very positive thing because, you know, you've got the 3 suds in California, carpet backing, roofing, and vinyl flooring. So that's a specific use determination, so they don't have to be labeled under Prop 65. I guess the point is that the battle against DINP is waning, and people are realizing it's a wonderful general purpose plasticizer that can be used in many, many applications very well.
I think more of on a micro scale level, even before this ruling, we saw users switching from DOTP back to DINP just because it is a better plasticizer in a lot of applications. So this ruling should further the switch or you know back to DINP from DOTP.
Yeah, to that point, it's, you know, DOTP is a good plasticizer in plastisol inks. It's not a good general purpose plasticizer. Its migration characteristics are a flaw. It comes to the surface often. I have a pair of boots that are made using DOTP. They're constantly having plasticizer on the surface that I can touch and absorb in my skin. You know, so DOTP's been around for a long time, and it wasn't used as a general purpose plasticizer until the raw materials lined up to make it very cheaply, and Eastman took advantage of that. So just because Eastman has low-cost raw materials and makes a cheap plasticizer for the general market doesn't mean it's good. So, you know, to AJ's point, we were seeing people go away in droves, 2014, 2015, switching to a non-orthophthalate plasticizer, even though the toxic and environmental effects of DINP were not concluded. They switched anyway. And to his point, they've come back because of performance. So it is a better general purpose plasticizer.
So overall, the ruling sounds like a good thing moving forward, obviously from our standpoint, but from an industry standpoint as a whole, being such a beneficial product.
Absolutely, and the consumer is going to get the advantage of this as well because there is low-cost production of DINP by Exxon, Evonik, et cetera. DOTP, if you're not making it through the DMT process, where you also make methanol as a side stream, if you're using PTA, purified terephthalic acid, and 2EH to make DOTP, very inefficient, very costly, and it doesn't enable you to compete on the world market. So there's only a few producers that fall into that category, and what's their capacity and what's the global demand? It's just not there. It doesn't sync.
Switching gears a little bit on the freight and logistics side, I think we got some news a couple weeks ago from our freight guys talking about the issues and what we're seeing with the ELD mandates and stuff like that really coming online. And I think one of the biggest stats they've seen, and an interesting point for us, was these long haul routes. I guess kind of mid range routes, 600 to 900 miles, are really the ones that are suffering the most, because what used to be a 1-day route is now a 2-day route, which obviously comes with all the other challenges that come along with that in cost and personnel and everything. What do you guys think about that? Are you seeing that similarly with your customers domestically and even maybe internationally?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely, seeing that, with our customers. The 600 to 900 mile would be what I'm told is kind of the sweet spot where it's, kind of the most expensive freight haul, just because folks either want to do the long haul or the short haul. But that range seems to be the challenging one. I don't know. I think something has to give at some point, because it's kind of, I don't know. It just seems like that's a like a range where a lot of folks are shipping, and I think I don't know what's going to give. I think that something needs to change, though. I mean, it's pretty bad out there on a lot of lanes.
I met with a lot of 3PLs and also carriers at AFPM, and they were saying that this is affecting the whole business, and they are trying to either buy other carriers, and they have special departments just to hire people because there's no new people coming on board. So before, they used to post, and now they have a whole team just doing the push in social media to get young people back in the industry, which I thought was really interesting. That's the big focus, and they're having a tough time doing that. As far as availability is really difficult, it's also affecting our exports, because some of our plants where we pick up for export are 600 to 900 miles. So again, hits that sweet spot, and we have experienced a few delays because of it. And also another good thing that I got, it was other 3PL companies showing our video that came out like a month ago regarding the 2-week lead time, and they're starting their meetings showing our video, just to get, because he says it gets the point across to the T. So I was like, okay, good. So it's really, really interesting to people are using our marketing our marketing ideas and tools to get the point across.
Yeah, I think it's you add into the fact we got $65 a barrel oil, and fracking is exploding right now, and there's a lot of wastewater that has to be handled. So you've got already a beat up trucking industry with a lack of availability, and then you throw in massive amounts of hauling, short hauling, long hauling for wastewater and oil and gas support. This is, now it's become regional for our carriers. Like, we're doing well, say, out of New Jersey, we're doing okay out of Savannah, but Texas is horrible. California's horrible. It bounces around each week where we just can't find availability. You get the produce season coming on now. So there's a lot of pressure, and it seems like it was a major topic of conversation at AFPM for good reason, because when you can't get raw materials, you can't run your plant. The plant goes down, and it further crimps supply.
I'd imagine too that it's the as far as younger folks coming into the industry, it's going to be a cyclical thing where drivers are going to start to make a lot more money now, and it's going to be more of an attractive profession to younger folks coming in, and then there'll be a flood of new people, and hopefully that'll help a little bit in the coming years. But I think that's going to take some time, obviously.
And I think from a marketing standpoint, it seems like we've been talking about this and trying to put this out for what's been months now, and we keep trying to think of positive things to say, and we want to change the message up. But it's amazing how many. It seems like companies and people still don't understand how bad the issues are. And I think AFPM, from what I've heard from Javi and AJ, people are starting to figure it out. I think, like you said, Rob, and are really trying to understand how big of an issue this really is, and the drive companies are making to hire and bring on new people.
And a lot of companies are still running lean. I mean, they're coming out from the just-in-time with the Toyota and Six Sigma. So they expect to have their product within a day, which, I mean, on theory sounds really good, but on the practical things, there's not a truck for 2 weeks. So it's really tough to balance that availability of trucks with their just-in-time way of doing business.
Yeah, I mean, the Javi nailed it with our video. I mean, it's been taking something that's very serious and make light of it to get it out to a more general audience. And he also just hit it again with, hey man, now's not a good time to run lean. You know, this is just not, everything's sort of lining up right now to not run lean. So, you know, I think our advice is, you know, be careful right now, you know, especially with the late end to the winter and the late beginning of spring. You're going to see a real pop here in the next few weeks. Hopefully when it warms up here in the Northeast. I'm looking outside and it's snowing. What's today, April 2nd or 3rd? So it's ridiculous.
We're missing Texas weather.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, it's not just casually snowing. We're getting like, I think we got like good 3-4 inches out there right now.
This is a dumping, yeah.
Although you got rained in coming home, right? You had a little trouble coming back home. So we got rain in Texas. We got snow here. Just
Yeah,
can't seem to win.
There was some gnarly storms coming out of San Antonio, right over the airport. We got delayed, but made it home, luckily.
Bumpy ride, yeah. I went from San Antonio, supposed to go to Baltimore to Providence, and I went to Houston to Boston, just to right in front of the storms. We were riding the front of the storm. Big thunder boomers.
I was looking at Houston before you went there, and the Houston looked the nastiest. I was like, I don't know if he's
we
gonna
took
get out.
off like literally in blue sky, and you could look to your left, you know, off to the west, and see here it comes, just this monster freight train of a storm. So it made for an interesting ride home.
And I think, so one other big topic I think on everyone's mind is Trump's tariffs and the kind of back and forth between the U.S. and China at this point. I know China came back and retaliated a little bit today with their announcement of tariffs on approximately $3 billion worth of U.S. imports. Obviously, this is more maybe on the consumer front and affecting consumer products a little bit more, but trade wars and tariffs going back and forth between two major global powerhouses is never a good thing. What are you guys seeing? How are you guys maybe starting to see this affect the markets and where it's going to affect the chemical industry?
Well, I mean, overall, it's definitely going to eventually trickle down to chemicals. I think what'd you say, Javi, the major one right now is pork knuckles?
Yeah, pork knuckles getting exported, and it's a huge tariff, and so there's when Argentina and Brazil coming in, and it's affecting, and they will. I mean, before we know it's going to be in chemicals. Right now, it's as you said, Ben, it's in a end consumer basis, but that's usually how it starts.
Yeah, the U.S. exported $1.1 billion of pork last year. Little fun fact.
You know, I guess the intent of this by our president was to help America. Well, right now he's helping out, you know, Argentina and Brazil, who are also second and third in pork exports to China. So I guess we got to start sending some pork feed down there, Javi. Hurry up and get on that. Big containers of pork feed, please. But no, I mean, you know, if his intention is America first, it's not really helping us. It shouldn't be run on Twitter. It's, you know, this shouldn't be announced on Twitter. It shouldn't be top-down management. I mean, there is a process still in our government that needs to take place. So it's not good for everybody, and we'll see. I mean, there's already some issues with world trade, and this will certainly, you know, bolster those issues. I don't think we know enough about what's going to happen yet, though. We'll see. It's a wait and see thing.
Moving on to pricing updates and trends, I think we've seen quite the roller coaster for the stock market, at least in March, with things seem like they're going to settle down for the most part in terms of most of the major stock market indicators. Raw materials seeming like they're finishing around the same way. I think we've seen most of the majors, benzene, ethylene, propylene, finishing lower. What are you guys seeing, and how are you seeing affecting that in the products you guys are talking about daily and working with your customers on?
Generally speaking, even though, you know, raw materials are trending down, I think that you know, a lot of the chemistries that we sell are staying relatively flat just because of you know, supply demand fundamentals. That's obviously big picture. It changed, you know, so, you know, when you get down, you can think of instances when that doesn't exactly fit. But I think big picture, that's kind of what I'm seeing.
Yeah, to your point about the stock market, it's been helter-skelter lately. Obviously, the effect of what's going on in geopolitical situations and the interest rates, concern about the value of the dollar versus the euro. But to AJ's point, benzene, toluene, xylene, ethylene, relatively flat, but to down. But we're definitely seeing a roll or even increased pricing in some respects on some products because of the supply and demand fundamentals.
I think that a lot of our products are formula based, but there's the supply and demand is taking a huge importance on making decisions. So people are waiting to see what's going to happen. So that's driving definitely our demand in the last 6 months.
And the one outlier to that overall calculation might be crude oil. I mean, we've seen crude sitting over $65 a barrel on average for the last couple weeks, maybe even a month. Came down a little bit at the end of last week, but it's still floating around that $65 range, which is quite high for the recent markets in recent times.
I mean, generally there's just more demand on energy feedstocks. We got a growing population, continuing more demand in countries that are coming up. We can't deny the fact that all the theaters are doing well. Europe, U.S., Latin America, Asia, Middle East, everywhere is doing pretty well. So therefore, demand is there, and they can only pull so much out of the ground so quickly. I am surprised to see it, 63, 65. Kind of breaks my theory about it being tied to the stock market so much, because that's been kind of dipping lower recently. But overall, it's much higher than we would have expected or anticipated.
Anything else on price updates, trends, things you guys are seeing?
Pretty boring, price update on
Boring can be good though, right?
Yeah, I mean it's flat, and not much going on, and prices are rolling, and I think that anything that we say to up or down is speculative at this point, and my speculation is for further strength as the winter weather wanes.
Hopefully we get rid of the snow sometime soon and winter can be in the rearview a little bit more, but
That'd be nice.
we'll see. Moving on to some product updates, trends. Maybe having Javi here, if you want to do a little focus on Latin America, things you're working on and seeing existing products with TCC as well as some new projects we're working on.
Yeah, on the new products, we have the THF, which is a solvent, BDO, which will go into the polyurethane, which does help our sales efforts for the isocyanates that we're currently doing to South America, as well as PTMG will be available Q2. We'll be sending some marketing stuff through on product information as well as applications on pricing.
Any other major product news, updates, new things we're working on, or anything else to mention on that front?
Well, I mean, seasonally, the plasticizer demand picks up in the spring. Obviously, some fertilizer products are picking up right now. The methanol is waning as we get through, hopefully we get through this winter season. Snowing today, so we're probably putting some trucks on the road for windshield wash. Our epoxidized product, ELO, ESO, we get some exciting news coming up on that, and really doing a push on those products. All the polymer additives right now are on the bullseye and what we're shooting for. So a lot of new opportunity, and we're lucky to be aligned with the producing partners we've historically courted in Middle East, European Union, and the Americas. Our office in China has got restricted supply. Most of the stuff coming out of there is historical stuff we've been buying for a long time from rateable producers, and knock on wood, they're not too affected as of yet.
Sounds good. Moving on, events, shows, conferences, things coming up. We obviously just had the AFPM, which is the big annual event going on, at least within the States. 2 big trade shows coming up back to back, which has been fun planning and organizing, and I think we're looking forward to getting down there and getting them rolling. American Coding Show starting next week now, next week by when this podcast comes out, April 10th and 12th, and then the NP coming up in May. We just recorded a podcast trade show feature episode that you'll find linked in the show notes on this podcast. But maybe, AJ, you want to give the 30-second overview for maybe anybody that hasn't heard past episodes or the trade show episode yet, what's coming up for us?
So April 10th through the 12th, we'll be exhibiting at the American Coding Show in Indianapolis, Indiana. We're at booth 1947. We'll have a good-sized group of folks from TCC there promoting our company and our products. Ben and I are going to be in early to kind of take care of the setup and stuff like that. If anybody's going to be in town or in the area, let us know. We'll get together for a meeting or a bite to eat or something like that. But we're looking forward to it. And then less than a month after that, we have the NPE that runs May 7th through the 11th. We're exhibiting in the South Hall of the Orlando Convention Center, or the Orange County Convention Center. We're at booth S 15013. It's 15013. That's a monster of a show. So if you want to see us, you want to kind of plan ahead. If you just wander around, it's going to take you a long time to find somebody that you're not necessarily looking for. But yeah, we'll have a big group down there as well. Looking forward to both of them. They should both be good, well-attended shows.
Yeah, and I get a lot of the marketing stuff from both shows, and from what I can see, both shows have a pretty good mobile app for both platforms. So definitely check those out and give us a search on there and link us as one of the booths you want to check out. It'll help you find your way around the show and find us, obviously. So we're looking forward to that. And a whole lot more shows coming up and things coming up in the second half of the year. I think we can cover a little bit more once we get past the April-May time frame and get these 2 big ones out of the way, at least in the States. I know we're planning on attending things like the APLA and EPCA coming up later this year, but I think we can touch upon that as we get a little bit closer.
Yeah, one thing to note is we will not be at APIC this year in Kuala Lumpur. Javi and I usually go to that, but this particular year NPE is May 7th to 11th, and it overlaps Kuala Lumpur, so we're opting to see a few thousand people versus tens of people. But looking forward to these upcoming shows. We've got a lot of people attending and got a lot of information and that we can share, and look forward to seeing everyone.
A couple good giveaways too. I think we got our traditional bouncy balls that'll be there, so feel free to swing by and grab one of those as well. We usually see them bouncing around the trade show and the hotel lobbies and all that good stuff, so make sure you swing by and say hello. TCC news, things going on around the office and giving back. One of the more recent ones, Pat King, who's long worked with us on the accounting and the credit side, is retiring. Maybe, Rob, you want to give a little shout out to Pat and what she was working on and a little bit about her?
Yeah, Pat King has been working, I don't know how long, at least probably 12 or 15 years for the chemical company. Had a great career with us. Came, later in life, but worked right till she decided to retire. She's got a daughter that's been fighting cancer, and she's been a major caretaker there. Needed more time with her. Everything's looking to go well, hopefully, with that. We pray for that every day. Pat was sitting next to me most of my career, and she never filed any complaints or anything against me.
I don't know how.
We got along great. She's a great dancer too. I don't know if you've seen at some of the TCC events. She is quite the dancer, and she's got a new puppy that she got from my father over Christmas. She happened to get this. What kind of puppy is that?
Shih Tzu?
I think it's a Shih Tzu.
Shih Tzu. Are we allowed to say
Tzu?
that on this
Shih Tzu,
podcast? But she's got a new little puppy, and she's enjoying her retirement. So this week she's going to come back in, and we're going to have a nice luncheon with a lot of people here from TCC, and a lot of people are driving in or flying in to see Pat off into her retirement. We wish her the best of luck, and we'll see her around town.
Yeah, I think we all miss seeing Pat around the office, but I think it's safe to say we miss Cody, the puppy, as well, especially Javi, I think.
It's all right. If you could see Javier right now, he's crying because he misses Cody so much. So, also want to mention that Tom Guadagno is leaving. He's going over to Oxia, effective April, so this month. So he took a job with Oxia, and we wish him the best in his continued career with Oxia. Not sure what he's going to do there for them, but he is moving on, and will be redistributing his responsibilities and his customers over the next week or two, and that's the next step that we have to do now that Tommy's moving on.
And I think if anyone has immediate questions or inquiries, you can pretty much reach out to anyone on the TCC team, and they'll point you in the right direction moving forward. So yeah, again, wish Tommy the best of luck, and hope to still see him around. One last note, we do have the TCC mobile app that will be formally released this week ahead of the coding show and NPE. We're excited for that. This podcast will be linked up and available in the app, as well as some market news, pricing trends, trade show info, and all that good stuff will be in there. So we're looking forward to releasing that this week, and we'll have it on display at the upcoming trade shows if anyone wants to check it out and see a little bit more about it, as well as it's obviously will be free on both app stores to download and use yourself. So we're looking forward to that, and hope for the best, and we think it'll be a good resource for our customers and business partners and everyone involved with TCC. So we're excited for that. Wrapping things up a little bit, what are you guys looking forward to or seeing in April? What's coming up besides hopefully it to not snow anymore? What do you guys have coming up or looking forward to seeing in April?
Just some more hard work. I mean, we're post AFPM, a lot of follow up, and driving our products into our markets. It's a constant battle to get out there and get in front of customers. Nice thing about having the AFPM, ACS, MPE in a row is you get to see a lot of people over a short period of time, where you'd have to travel all around the world. But over the next month, I personally have some regional travel: Chicago, Atlanta, Houston, etc. Just getting out there and making sure that people are aware that they should be stocking up inventories and making sure they've got as much business with TCC, because we're a security of supply. We're a great source, primary, secondary, tertiary, whatever, for supply of so many raw materials.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it already, we had a nice little spot in the ISIS AFPM edition magazine along our security supplies ad, and we'll have them coming up in 4 or 5 ads this year. They're all going to tie together at the end, so make sure you check that out if you haven't already. It's also available on our website at thechemco.com/secure if you didn't get a chance to check it out in the actual edition, but we're looking forward to that and promoting that a little bit more. AJ, anything coming up in April that you're looking forward to or getting ready for?
I expect to be flat out this week. Obviously, we're all following up with stuff from the AFPM while, preparing for the ACS. And then after the ACS, we'll be following up with those, with that work, preparing for the NPE. So I think April's going to go by in a flash. We're just going to be hitting it hard, working hard, and hopefully we can, spend a lot of time on the boat in the summer.
Yeah, going in April 15th, and lobster pots are going in. Can't wait to start catching.
Hope you're not wearing like a snow jacket out there. Maybe
At this point, we're gonna need a snow blower to blow the boat off before we go out, man.
Javi, anything else to mention?
Well, looking forward to the ACS, do some more traveling down south, Mexico, Colombia, Peru, and start working on the new products and new projects. Very exciting stuff coming out with TCC, and hopefully we can share more shortly.
Thank you for sitting in for it too. Well, glad to have you for the first time, and hopefully can have you sit in for future view recordings. It's good to have our Latin American.
We're gonna have to bribe Javi to come back with wings and beer.
Yeah.
So if we have wings and beer, he'll be here for every podcast. So.
Seems like every time I sent out the recording reminder, all of a sudden Javi's in Mexico City. Just happened to be that same week. So, all right. Well, that wraps it up, I think, for this recording. Just so everyone knows, the podcast is available on SoundCloud, on the iTunes podcast store, as well as via thechemco.com/podcasts. We also have our current episodes as well as future episodes available on YouTube. Our audiovisual guy, George Manchester, did a great job getting those up on YouTube with a cool little graphic. So we're excited for that. And just another way to be able to stream the view and get it in whatever format you need. If there's formats maybe we're missing or somewhere else you'd like to see us hosting the podcast or have it available for you to make it as easy as possible to follow along, please let us know. We're always happy to change things up and expand our reach. But that about wraps it up. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll catch you guys soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.